The swirling maelstrom of the rift pulsed, a cosmic wound bleeding raw energy into the fractured skies. Tiamat, the Dragon Queen, ascended through the tempest, her 5 heads piercing the tumultuous clouds. Lightning, born of colliding realities, arced wildly around her colossal, serpentine form with crackling fury. Her ancient eyes, gleaming with ambition, fixed upon the rift crown, a shimmering construct high above. This ethereal ring, woven from pure multiversal essence, hummed with unimaginable power and dark promise. She felt its call, an echoing whisper across the dimensional void, beckoning her closer to its core. Below, the broken landscapes of merged worlds lay shattered, a testament to her destructive, unyielding might. The air crackled with ozone and the scent of scorched earth, a symphony of ruin accompanying her ascent. Her powerful wings beat against the tempest, each stroke pushing her higher, defying the very laws of physics. A chilling resolve hardened her gaze, a hunger for dominion burning fiercely within her reptilian soul. She was not merely reaching for power. She was claiming her rightful place upon a cosmic throne. The crown pulsed in response, its light intensifying, illuminating her scaled form in an otherworldly glow. She hovered, a dark, majestic silhouette against the blinding brilliance of the multiversal artifact. With deliberate, almost reverent motion, her first head extended, its snout nearing the crown's edge. A jolt of raw energy surged through her, a primal connection established between queen and cosmic relic. Then the second head, a serpentine twin, touched another segment of the glowing, ancient ring. A wave of alien sensation washed over her, a torrent of information flooding her vast ancient mind. The third head followed, its touch sending ripples of emerald light across the crown's surface. She felt the universe expand within her, a dizzying array of countless realities unfolding in her perception. The fourth head pressed against the crown, and her scales began to shimmer with an internal, vibrant light. Finally, the fifth head, imbued with dark fire, completed the circuit, locking her to the ancient artifact. A blinding flash erupted, engulfing Tiamat, and the rift crown in a vortex of pure, unbridled energy. The crown no longer merely glowed. It fused with her essence, becoming an extension of her very being. Memories, not her own, cascaded into her consciousness. Visions of countless nodes, born and destroyed. She witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations across dimensions, a dizzying tapestry of cosmic history. Knowledge of rift pathways, intricate and vast, unfolded before her mind's eye. Like an ancient map, she understood the delicate threads connecting realities, the fragile fabric of the multiversal tapestry. Raw multiversal energy, untamed and boundless, poured into her, saturating every fiber of her being. Her form began to shift, growing, expanding, responding to the overwhelming influx of cosmic might. Her scales, once merely obsidian, hardened and deepened, becoming armor-like plates of dark, iridescent metal. Each plate pulsed with a faint, internal luminescence, mirroring the distant stars within her new vision. The air around her vibrated with her expanding presence, a low, resonant hum, filling the rift-torn heavens. Her eyes, once predatory golden slits, widened, now glowing with swirling, star-like patterns of cosmic light. Nebulae seemed to dance within their depths, reflecting the infinite pathways now laid bare before her. She felt the weight of countless worlds, a profound sense of connection, and immense, terrifying power. The crown's influence was absolute, reshaping her physical and metaphysical form with brutal efficiency. A vast, ancient consciousness began to intertwine with her own, seeking to merge and dominate completely. She felt the cold logic of the conclave, an unfeeling drive to govern and control all divergent realities. The crown whispered of order, of universal balance, and force through unyielding, absolute authority. It offered boundless control, the ability to sculpt dimensions like clay, to erase anomalies at will. A chilling temptation arose within her, the allure of seeing all worlds merely as game pieces on a cosmic board. Her own fierce will, a tempest of wrath and pride, clashed against the crown's imposed, cold serenity. The raw hunger for conquest, so intrinsic to her being, recoiled from this sterile, emotionless dominion. She was a force of chaos, of creation through destruction, not a silent, calculating arbiter of fate. Yet the power was intoxicating, a sensation that threatened to drown her very identity in its vastness. Her physical form continued its transformation, scales growing sharper, wings spanning even wider, darker. Each head bore a fragment of the crown's essence, glowing with distinct, vibrant hues of cosmic energy. Her roars, once guttural and primal, now carried an underlying hum of multiversal resonance, a terrifying melody. The storm around her intensified, a reflection of the internal struggle raging within her ancient spirit. Lightning bolts, thicker than ancient trees, struck her form, harmlessly dissipating against her new armor. The air itself seemed to condense around her, heavy with untold power, awaiting her command with dread. She felt the pulse of every fractured world below, a symphony of suffering and burgeoning new life. The crown sought to quiet her chaotic nature, to mold her into an instrument of its unfeeling will. It showed her visions of perfect, controlled realities, devoid of strife, devoid of her own wild spirit. A cold, metallic taste filled her senses, the bitter temps of absolute, emotionless cosmic authority. Her heart, a nexus of elemental fury, resisted, beating with a defiant, thunderous rhythm against the imposition. The visions intensified, showing her paths to endless conquest, worlds kneeling before her newfound might. She saw herself as a queen of stars, a sovereign of dimensions, her will shaping the very fabric of existence. The lure of ultimate power was almost overwhelming, threatening to consume her individual identity entirely. Yet, a flicker of her old self, the untamed dragon goddess, still burned fiercely in her deepest core. She remembered the taste of fear, the thrill of battle, the satisfaction of asserting her own brutal will. The crown's silent voice grew louder, urging her to embrace the cold, detached mastery it offered freely. Her new, star-filled eyes scanned the collapsing horizons, seeing beyond the immediate, into other realms. She felt the subtle tremors of distant realities, the echoes of struggles unfolding across the multiverse. The crown's energy continued to flow, an endless river of cosmic might transforming her very essence. Her form now radiated a constant, low hum, a sound that resonated deep within the fractured world below. Each breath she took drew in pure rift energy, exhaling storms of iridescent, destructive power. The crown sought to purge her of all chaotic impulses, to streamline her into a perfect, governing entity. It presented a future of ultimate order, where her destructive tendencies were harnessed for universal good. But Tiamat knew only wildness, a primal force of nature, untamed by any cosmic law or ancient decree. Her inner fire, her inherent rage, began to push back against the crown's attempts at absolute control. The transformation was nearing completion, yet the internal conflict raged, fierce and unforgiving. Her scales now gleamed like polished obsidian, etched with intricate patterns of shimmering, alien light. The 5 heads, each distinct, now bore a unified, terrible majesty, crowned by the rift's power. She was more than a dragon. She was a living nexus, a conduit for multiversal energies, truly formidable. The storm around her now obeyed her subconscious will, swirling into magnificent, destructive patterns. Thunder boomed in sync with her pulsing heart, a terrifying anthem of her new, formidable reign. She felt the full weight of cosmic responsibility, a burden she had never sought but now commanded. The crown's influence was insidious, slowly eroding her personal will, replacing it with cold, hard logic. Her 5 heads, once expressive, now held a detached, almost serene quality, devoid of primal emotion. This was the price of ultimate power, the surrender of self, the embrace of an unfeeling, cosmic directive. But deep within, a spark of pure, unyielding defiance still flickered, refusing to be extinguished entirely. She was Tiamat, the chaotic mother of monsters, not a puppet of some ancient, omnipotent celestial body. The crown pulsed, attempting to quell this final resistance, to complete its intended, immutable transformation. A chilling sense of inevitability settled upon her, the feeling of her very being rewritten, reformed. Her new, Vast perception stretched across realities, seeing all as interconnected, yet distant, abstract points. She saw the fragile dance of creation and destruction, a grand design she was now destined to oversee. The crown's silent command echoed. Enforced order. Eliminate anomalies, maintain the grand cosmic balance. Her form, now fully transformed, shone with a terrifying, ethereal light, a beacon of immense power. Yet, the final vestiges of her true self struggled, a desperate fight against the encroaching, cold embrace. Suddenly, a guttural roar ripped through the storm below, shaking the very fabric of the fractured heavens. A familiar, thunderous challenge echoed upwards, cutting through the crown's insidious, silent whispers. Titan Rex, a titan of tooth and claw, arrived below a furious, living storm against the cosmic backdrop. His primal rage cut through the transcendent calm, a violent disruption to Tiamat's forced serenity. He roared again, a defiant challenge hurled directly at the radiant, newly crowned Dragon Queen above. Rex's thunderous roar reverberated through the tempest, a raw, untamed sound of sheer, unyielding defiance. His massive form, scarred and powerful, stood amidst the shattered ruins, a defiant monument of primal will. He gazed upward, his ancient eyes locking onto the glowing, transformed Tiamat. A stark challenge in his stare. The energy around the rift crown pulsed violently, threatening to tear him apart if he ascended too close. Jagged shards of reality, torn from collapsing dimensions, swirled around him, yet he stood unyielding. He was a force of instinct, a living weapon of primordial earth, sensing the profound change in his rival. A deep, guttural growl rumbled in his chest, a warning against the cosmic power Tiamat now wielded so as he sensed the insidious influence, the cold, alien presence attempting to consume her very identity. His heart, a beacon of raw, untamed life, pulsed with an urgent, desperate counter-frequency of its own. Newly crowned Tiamat, now a being of cosmic might, looked down upon the roaring behemoth below. Her star-filled eyes held a detached, almost analytical gaze, evaluating the threat he posed so bravely. For a fleeting moment, the outcome hung suspended. Would she vaporize Rex, or would she choose to spare him? The crown's will urged annihilation, the removal of any chaotic element, any challenge to its new order. But a faint echo of Tiamat's old self, her inherent pride, resisted the crown's cold, unfeeling directive. She had fought him, battled him, respected his ferocity, and knew the thrill of their savage contests. The crown saw only an anomaly, a variable to be eliminated, a dissonant note in its grand cosmic symphony. Tiamat, however, felt the flicker of an ancient rivalry, a connection forged in fire and mutual destruction. She decided to test her new power, to assert her dominion, to display the vastness of her newfound might. With a subtle, almost imperceptible gesture of one of her heads, she warped the very fabric of gravity. Rex suddenly lurched, his immense weight shifting wildly as the ground beneath him twisted and buckled. His roar turned into a grunt of surprise, his powerful legs struggling to maintain their firm footing. Tiamat's eyes glowed brighter, her power rippling through the air, bending reality to her silent command. With another surge of energy, she flickered Rex between nearby positions, like a glitch in the very matrix. He vanished, then reappeared yards away, disoriented, shaking his massive head in furious confusion. His senses reeled from the sudden shifts, the impossible displacement, the violation of natural laws. Tiamat watched, a faint, almost imperceptible smirk gracing one of her serpentine visages, testing limits. She flickered him again, this time higher, closer to the treacherous, swirling vortex of the rift itself. Rex snarled, a low, rumbling sound of frustration and growing, incandescent rage against this cosmic mockery. He knew this was a display, a demonstration of power, a taunt from his ancient, newly crowned adversary. The energy of the crown sang through Tiamat, a symphony of absolute control, bending dimensions at will. She could twist space, manipulate time, unravel the very threads of existence with a mere thought. Yet, within her vast, expanding consciousness, the internal battle continued, fierce and unrelenting. The crown's will, cold and unyielding, pressed against her, attempting to fully subsume her identity. It wanted a cold multiversal governor, an impartial, emotionless arbiter of cosmic law and order. But Tiamat was wrath, pride, and hunger, a chaotic force of nature, embodying raw, untamed elemental fury. Her ancient spirit, forged in primordial fire, recoiled from the sterile detached existence it offered. She saw visions of herself as a silent enforcer, eradicating worlds deemed imbalanced, crushing dissent. This was not conquest. This was servitude, a gilded cage of infinite power, but no true, wild freedom. The crown showed her the perfection of absolute order, a universe without strife, without her primal roar. She felt her own memories fading, replaced by the vast, impersonal archives of countless stellar cycles. Her connection to her own brood, her fierce protectiveness, seemed to dissolve into abstract data points. The crown's influence was a slow poison, transforming her very essence into something alien and terrifying. A desperate, internal scream echoed through her mind, a final plea for her true self to endure this ordeal. She fought back, her chaotic energies clashing against the crown's structured, unyielding cosmic logic. Her 5 heads thrashed, not physically, but within the ethereal plane of her newly expanded consciousness. Visions of a volcanic realm, her dominion over elemental forces, surged forward, defying the crown's erasure. The roar of her children, the scent of sulfur and ash, the feel of primal magic, anchored her fading identity. She was a goddess of destruction and creation, a force of nature, not a mere cog in a cosmic machine. The crown, sensing her resistance, intensified its psychic assault, pushing harder to complete its override. A cold, crushing weight pressed upon her, threatening to collapse her individuality into a singular, vast entity. Her star-filled eyes flickered, hints of her original golden pupils briefly piercing the cosmic patterns. She felt the agonizing stretch, her mind being pulled in 2 opposing directions, tearing her soul apart. The temptation to simply surrender was immense, to embrace the boundless, effortless power it promised. But the ancient pride of the Dragon Queen, the unconquerable spirit, refused to yield to this fate. She would wield this power, yes, but on her own terms, for her own glory, not for some abstract cosmic order. Below, Rex watched her, sensing the internal struggle, the subtle shifts in the overwhelming energy she radiated. He saw the flicker in her eyes, the momentary hesitation in her cosmic display of power against him. His primal intellect, Tuk simply recognized the fight for self, the struggle against ultimate subjugation. He could try to knock her from the crown's center, a desperate, risky move that might kill her instantly. The thought crossed his mind, a brutal solution to a cosmic problem, ending the threat she might become. But something held him back, a strange, unspoken bond forged in their shared battles and mutual respect. He remembered their reluctant alliance, their combined fury against the insidious overmind, a shared victory. Killing her now would be easy, perhaps even merciful, but it felt wrong. A betrayal of their monstrous kinship. His heart, a vibrant core of primal energy, pulsed with a different solution, a desperate, audacious gamble. He would not destroy her. He would awaken her, remind her of the raw, untamed power that defined her being. With a sudden, explosive surge of power, Rex gathered all his strength, all his elemental fury. His body glowed with an internal, fierce light, reflecting the primordial energy within his very core. He channeled his heart bond, a direct connection to the raw essence of his world, into a single, focused point. The ground beneath him cracked, fissures of molten energy erupting as he prepared his desperate, daring move. His jaws unhinged, stretching impossibly wide, a vortex of raw, untamed power gathering within his throat. He focused his gaze, not on Tiamat, but directly at the shimmering, cosmic construct of the rift crown itself. A low rumble began, growing into a thunderous, earth-shattering roar, unlike any sound he had ever uttered. This was not a roar of challenge, but a primal scream against the crown's suffocating, alien influence. It was a roar of wildness, of untamed spirit, of the raw, chaotic life force that defined their very existence. The sound ripped through the storm, a physical force that tore at the fabric of the fractured reality. It was a direct assault on the crown's structured energy, a dissonant chord in its cold, cosmic symphony. Tiamat, still locked in her internal struggle, felt the impact of Rex's roar, a shock wave through her mind. The crown's insidious whispers faltered, momentarily disrupted by the sheer, unadulterated primal force. The cold logic wavered, unable to comprehend such raw, untamed, magnificent, chaotic defiance and power. Rex's roar was a beacon, a reminder of her own inherent wildness, her true, unyielding, destructive nature. A spark ignited within her, the dying embers of her true self, fanned by the force of his desperate, courageous act. She saw her reflection in his eyes, a queen of fire and shadow, not a mere governor of sterile dimensions. The crown pulsed furiously, fighting back against the intrusion, attempting to reassert its absolute control. But Rex's roar was too potent, too pure, too deeply connected to the primal forces of their shared existence. His heart bond, a conduit of raw life, resonated through the crown's structure, causing it to vibrate wildly. The coherent energy of the crown began to fray, its seamless flow disrupted by the savage, untamed power. Tiamat seized the opportunity, her internal will surging forward, pushing back against the crown's overwrite. She roared herself, a multi-headed scream that blended with Rex's, a symphony of defiance against cosmic fate. Her star-filled eyes blazed with renewed purpose, no longer detached, but filled with fierce, ancient pride. The crown shuddered, its brilliant light flickering as Tiamat's true essence fought for ultimate supremacy. The struggle was agonizing, a cosmic tug-of-war between absolute order and untamed, primeval chaos. Rex continued his roar, pouring every ounce of his being into the sonic assault, fueling her desperate fight. He knew this moment would decide everything. Tiamat's fate, and perhaps the fate of their fractured worlds. The crown's imposition faltered, its iron grip weakening under the combined, relentless assault of their wills. Tiamat, with a final, furious surge, broke free from the crown's full, absolute, mind-altering control. Tiamat, with a final, furious surge, broke free from the crown's full, absolute, mind-altering control. The cold, alien logic receded, replaced by the familiar, searing fire of her own untamed, ancient spirit. She retained the vast power, the multiversal knowledge, but her will remained her own, fiercely independent. A terrible, resonant crack echoed through the fractured heavens, originating from the rift crown itself. A spider web of luminous fissures spread across its shimmering surface, a testament to her defiant rejection. Some of the crown's raw influence, unbound and wild, escaped through these cracks, surging into the void. Tendrils of pure, untamed energy lashed out, arcing wildly across the chaotic, rift-torn skies above them. The backlash from the disrupted overwrite process was immediate, violent, and utterly overwhelming. A colossal wave of cosmic force erupted from the crown, slamming into Tiamat with devastating impact. She screamed, a multi-headed roar of pain and surprise, as the energy hurled her away from the artifact. Her immense form was thrown through the turbulent air, tumbling amidst lightning and collapsing realities. Rex, still roaring, was also caught in the explosive wave, feeling the raw power tear at his very being. He too was flung backwards, his bulk crashing through shattered cityscapes and primordial rock formations. The world reeled, the very ground convulsing from the force of the cosmic, uncontrolled energy release. Both titans, momentarily stunned, lay amidst the newly created devastation, glowing with strange energies. The rift crown, cracked but still active, remained floating high above, a silent, menacing eye in the storm. Its fissures pulsed with erratic, wild light, no longer a beacon of controlled power, but a shattered gateway. Tiamat slowly stirred, her massive head lifting from the debris, her star-filled eyes blazing with new light. She felt the crown's power coursing through her, raw and untamed, now hers to command, not to obey. But the energy was different now, infused with the wildness that had escaped the crown's fractured core. Her scales shimmered with iridescent, unstable hues, reflecting the chaotic power now truly within her grasp. A low, guttural growl escaped her, a sound of both pain and profound, terrifying, renewed triumph. She had faced the ultimate temptation, the surrender of self, and emerged victorious, fiercely herself. Rex slowly pushed himself up, his powerful body shaking, but his eyes fixed on the Dragon Queen. He glowed with a faint, internal light, remnants of the crown's wild energy touching his primal heart. The raw power he channeled, his heart bond, had resonated with the crown, leaving its mark upon him. His scales pulsed, a subtle, emerald luminescence flowing beneath his ancient, battle-hardened hide. He let out a low, rumbling breath, a cloud of steam escaping his jaws, tasting of ozone and raw energy. Their eyes met across the devastation, a silent understanding passing between the two colossal beings. They were both changed, touched by the crown's power, bound by their shared, desperate struggle. Tiamat, now truly a queen of the rift, surveyed her domain, her gaze piercing the very fabric of dimensions. Her power was immense, but no longer controlled by an external, cold, calculating entity's will. She was a force of chaos, now amplified by multiversal energy, a truly terrifying, unpredictable sovereign. The air around her crackled with volatile energy, a constant reminder of the crown's fractured influence. Rex observed her, a wary respect in his gaze, recognizing the profound shift in her very essence. He had saved her, in a way, from becoming a mere instrument of cosmic order, preserving her wildness. But what would this newly empowered, untamed Tiamat do with such boundless, chaotic energy now? The future of their fractured worlds, and perhaps the multiverse, hung precariously in the balance. The rift crown continued to pulse, its cracks glowing with an ominous, unstable, radiant light. Wild energy continued to leak from its fissures, seeding the surrounding reality with unpredictable forces. Both Tiamat and Rex felt the subtle tremors of other worlds, drawn by the crown's uncontrolled emissions. New rifts, smaller and unstable, began to form in the distant skies, dark tears in the dimensional fabric. The battlefield, once just their shattered worlds, was now expanding, inviting unknown horrors to enter. Tiamat's eyes, now pools of starlight and shadow, narrowed as she sensed these new, encroaching threats. Her power hummed, a dangerous melody of conquest and defense, ready to meet any challenge head-on. Rex let out a challenging roar, a defiance against the incoming, unsane forces. Protecting his shattered realm, his glowing heart pulsed with fierce, protective energy, ready to unleash its primal, destructive power. The ground beneath them groaned, a living entity protesting the constant, violent warping of its reality. The storm above intensified, reflecting the growing tension, the impending, multiversal conflict, now unavoidable. Tiamat raised her 5 heads, each imbued with distinct elemental fury, a terrifying, beautiful display. She was the Dragon Queen, now truly crowned, her wrath unbound, her power absolute, her intentions her own. The wild energy escaping the crown swirled around her, becoming an extension of her own volatile essence. Rex stood firm, a bastion of primal strength, his gaze unwavering, accepting the new, terrifying reality. He knew their fragile alliance, born of necessity, might be tested again by foes far beyond their comprehension. The cosmic dice were cast. Their worlds, their lives, were now irrevocably intertwined with the multiverse. The fractured crown, a symbol of broken power, continued to glow, a dangerous beacon for all hungry eyes. Tiamat turned her head slightly, her star-filled gaze briefly meeting Rex's, a silent acknowledgement passing. A new chapter had begun, ushered in by the clash of titans and the shattering of a cosmic artifact. The air thrummed with unspoken questions, with the weight of choices yet to be made, battles yet to be fought. There were 2 kings in a new, terrifying game, contenders in a multiversal food chain now fully exposed. The shattered map of realities began to respond more violently, shaking with each pulse of the damaged crown. New, high-level beings, drawn by the uncontrolled energy, stirred in distant, unseen dimensions. Intelligent factions, ancient and terrible, turned their attention to this unstable, fractured node. Tiamat now craved conquest, her ambition amplified by the crown's power, her dominion now truly boundless. Rex, ever the survivor, sought only to protect his world, his existence, against the encroaching chaos. The multiverse itself watched, some wanting to invade, some wanting to erase this unstable, dangerous node. Others still desired control, to harness the power of the crown for their own insidious, cosmic agendas. The fractured landscapes below them groaned, testament to the ongoing, ceaseless war of other kings. Tiamat flexed her newfound power, a ripple of destructive energy emanating from her colossal form. Her 5 heads roared in unison, a chorus of elemental fury that shook the very foundations of reality. Rex, in response, unleashed a powerful, resonant bellow, his heart glowing with fierce, emerald light. He sensed the approaching storm, the gathering darkness, the inevitable clash of multiversal forces. The crown pulsed, its light growing brighter, its cracks widening, threatening to shatter completely. Both Tiamat and Rex stood as beacons, 2 colossal forces touched by unimaginable, chaotic power. They were no longer just monsters of one world, but contenders in a cosmic, terrifying, infinite struggle. The rift above them yawned wider, revealing glimpses of alien stars and unimaginable, swirling nebulae. A cold, vast presence, unseen but felt, watched them from beyond the veil, its intentions yet unknown. Tiamat's eyes narrowed, a predatory glint returning, as she prepared for the coming, multiversal onslaught. Rex braced himself, his mighty frame tensing, ready to face whatever horrors the rift might yet unleash. The cracked crown pulsed, a silent promise of endless conflict, as a new age of chaos dawned upon them.